Kia ora team, it's the presenter here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. And if you aren't, well, hopefully this film will make it fantastic. Maybe. Anyway, today what we're going to have a look at is we're going to be looking at how to create and manipulate text and images to enhance documents, okay? Electronic documents as well as printed documents. We're also going to have a look at a little bit about saving protocols. So a little bit of different skills around saving as different file types and changing names and converting to PDF. So it's not going to be too strenuous today. Everything we're going to learn is fairly simple, basic stuff. So sit back, relax, and get some learning done. Alright, let's crack into this, shall we? Alright team, so I've got open a copy of the workbook, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to import an image. So I'm going to go insert, and I'm going to go down into pictures, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my file structure, go into removable disk, and I'm going to get a photo of Skelly. Okay? And that is my cat Skeletor, or Skelly for short. His tongue's a little bit too big for his mouth, so it just sort of hangs out all the time. But importing a photo or an image into your document is as easy as that. And there's a whole, plethora of things we can do with it. Okay? Now, let's say we want to crop the image. We want to keep, let's say, the cat's face, but get rid of the wall to the left. That's easy. All we have to do is hit crop. Okay, now cropping is where you can get rid of part of your image. And you'll see along the edges and the corners of your image, you'll get these black bars. These are where you can click on to start your crop. So let's give that a shot, eh? Make sure your cursor is over one of the black bars. Hold the left button of your mouse down and drag it across. You can see the grey. That is the area of the image that is going to get cropped out. Maybe crop a little bit of that too. Maybe a little bit of that. We just want his face. It's going to be an extreme close-up of my cat. Okay. And when the highlighted part is all you want to keep of the text, the image, you just hit crop again. And there you go. It disappeared. That's awesome. Now, having a look through our menu will allow us to do a number of things, okay? We can change, okay? So let's hit down corrections. This is going to be our brightness. So let's say I want to have a look at that. You can see the brightness of the image changing. Just can't quite get that into focus. There we go. Let's click that one. We can change the color of the cat. Let's make him a nice olive green. Haha, there we go. You can also play with the background. Now, you may have noticed in the workbooks and assessments, I quite like the soft edge for all of my images. That's just a preference thing. We can also insert a border to the image. we can wrap the text. Okay, this one's really handy, okay? Do you want it square with your text? Yeah, I'll show you what that does. Square with the text means that you can move the image around and the text will move around it. Do we want it tight? Kind of the same thing, through. The text, very similar concept there. The two positions I mainly use are in front and behind text. So that means that my image is not going to mess with my text, and I can just resize it by clicking on the dots and dragging. Alright? Now it's really important, if you're resizing an image this way, to drag from the corners and not the sides here, okay? So you can see when I'm dragging by the corner, the image is keeping its original shape, okay? It's not distorting. But if I were to drag from one of the sides, the image loses its shape and it gets distorted and just looks horrific. You can make my cat look quite squat. That is one squat cat. If you want a little bit more precision when resizing your image, that's nice and easy. Select the image, right click, and then you can just go, when the drop down menu comes up, to size and position. That's going to bring up this dialog box here. So we can change the height by clicking up or down or manually typing in a number. Let's go 8. And you can do the same with the width. Now what you're seeing there is when I'm changing the width, the height is changing as well. They're both linked. Now that is because your aspect ratio is locked. Alright? So it's locking the shape for us so that it doesn't distort. We can change that, and all we have to do is unclick lock aspect ratio. That means we can just change the size of it, height or width by themselves. This is the same as dragging from the side and changing the size that way. And then we can see my image has changed shape and my cat is even squatter than ever before. Now, let's say I didn't have an image of my cat. Okay, I didn't have a photo. I might have to draw one. So I'm going to create a little bit of space here. And what I'm going to do is go into Insert, and I can use shapes. Okay? Now we all know that all pictures are just a series of shapes and colors. That's what an image is. And using Word or whatever software you're using, you're able to draw pictures using shapes. So all you have to do is you click on a shape. I'm going to go the smiley face, okay? You hold down the left button and you drag. Now you can change the size, the width and the height by doing this. And when you let it go, there's your shape. And it can be played with as well. What's really cool is this thing, okay? Clicking and holding on that lets you rotate. They see me rotating, they hating. Sorry about that. Okay, now there's a whole bunch of different things you can do with these shapes other than just playing with the size and rotating them. You can wrap them around the text as we did before. We can also change the colors. So shape fill, let's change that. My cat's kind of grey, so I'm going to go with a light grey. And I'm going to change the outline to a sort of a dark grey. With the outline, you can also change the weight of the line, as well as whether it's a straight line or dots. You see, we've changed to dots there. Shape effects, you can put shadows on the shape. See, now my shape has a little bit of a shadow. It makes it a little bit more three-dimensional. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly draw my cat. Okay, so I need to insert some more shapes. I'm going to try his ears. So I'm going to make those little triangles. Okay, I'm going to rotate, bring it down. What's really cool is the computer, the program, remembers the colors that I like. So I don't have to go through and select those colors again. I just have to click on the little buttons there. That's pretty handy. There we go. Now, I want my ears to be the same. So I'm not going to draw another triangle. I'm just going to go Control C, Control V, also known as copy and paste, and then just rotate again. There we go. Now this cat is going to need some whiskers, so let's do that. We're going to go shapes, and we're just going to go, let's go the scribble lines, eh? Or should we go with an arc? Okay, so we draw the line, and then what we can do is do the arc. Then we're going to go grey. It's quite thin, so I'm going to make it a bit heavier. Yeah, that's our whisker. Then Control C, Control V, Control V, copy and paste. Cool. And then if we go 2, 3. Now I've got a bit of a problem. These are backwards. Or are they? You can use just the little dots to change the direction of your shape. That's really cool, eh? And there we go. I've used shapes just in Microsoft Word. You can also do this in Paint. Paint is quite a powerful program once you get the hang of it. Very simple, but there's a lot you can do. And you can draw these images. It's really quite neat. Alright, so I've scrolled down the page a little bit because we're done with creating images and importing images. Now it's time to have a look at some special text manipulation techniques. Text manipulation technique. Say that 10 times as fast as you can. I bet it's going to be pretty tricky. Anyway, enough fun and laughter. Let's learn about drop caps. Now, I don't know if you've read some old school books where the first letter in a chapter or a paragraph is really big and then all the rest of the text is normal sized. But that's what a drop cap is, okay? And it's really effective for letting the reader know where to start reading. Yeah. Anyway, what we want to do is we want to go insert, okay? And we're going to pan across until we find drop cap, okay? Now, drop cap, I promise you, it's not just someone dropping their hat. So you click it, And there we have a range of options. Do we want it dropped? So it looks like this. So that's pretty classic. Do we want it in the margin so that it looks like it's outside of everything else, whereas the T was around here before, now it's in the margin? Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of that, because as you can see, the T has popped out of my nice tasteful border. Or do we want to go to drop cap options? Yeah, we do. And from here, you can change the font. So I'm going to go dropped, change the font to Nyala. You can change the amount of lines that it drops. So let's say 2 lines. Or we can go up to 10 lines. I'm just going to stick with 2, I think. And you can even change the distance from text. Let's see what that's done. Oh yeah, that doesn't look great. But anyway, that's how you use the options of your drop cap. And drop caps, I think, are pretty cool little things to do. They make your document just look a little bit more user-friendly, you know. It shows people where to start reading. Alright, let's say you're a mathematician, or you're really keen on the Greek alphabet, or you really just like symbols in your documents. Well, I've got news for you. Good news. You can insert symbols. Now these symbols are generally symbols that aren't on your keyboard. You can also add in macrons this way. So if you're writing your document in Tereo, and you need some macrons above some of your vowels, this is how you do it. You go insert symbol, and you'd go more symbols, and you would scroll until you found the letter that you're looking for with the correct macron. It's that easy. So there's your T with a macron. There's an O with a macron. And the macron is just the little line on top of your letter. And in a lot of languages, that just means that you say that sound for a little bit longer. Now, what I'm going to have a look at is we're going to be using a range of symbols in the assessment. The main one being copyright. The C inside of the circle, that means that a document is copyrighted by law, or a name or a logo is copyrighted by law, and other people can't use it. And then you just hit insert, and there it is. I clicked insert twice. We only need one copyright symbol. That's how you insert symbols. Let's try another one. Let's try, omega. Bit of a Greek alphabet letter there. That's quite cool. Inserting symbols is as easy as that, guys. Alright team, in the time between the last shot and this shot of the film, I've typed up a quick list of some of my favourite foods. We've got banana, lasagna, pie, avocado on toast with butter, without butter, and with Marmite, as well as mashed teddies. Quite like mashed potatoes. I make a mean mashed potato. What I do is I put a little bit of chili powder in there, a little bit of cheese, some onion, right? Just the tiniest amount of butter, and it is amazing. You should try put some chili powder in there. It's just awesome. Anyway, I've gotten off topic with my mashed potato recipes. In my document, this list, it doesn't look like a list. It looks like just a series of words on different lines. It doesn't look all that great. Like, if I hadn't have told you what it was, you wouldn't really sort of perhaps think, hey, that's definitely a list of stuff. But there's a way we can change that, okay? What we can do is we go highlight, and then we go for a wander into the home tab, and we have a look over here, okay? Here we have bullets, so we can bullet point our list. So you'll see the top ones getting bullet pointed there. We can also change the shapes of the bullets. Okay, little ticks. There, we've got little ticks on our list now. You can also define a new bullet and insert a picture. Let's try that, eh? Let's go browse from a file. We'll go into the removable disk again, my USB. And we'll go Skelly. And now the bullet points are going to be tiny little photos of my cat, which I can also make a bit bigger. That's quite ridiculous, but at the same time awesome. It means you could use any photo you wanted as bullet points. I like that a lot. But let's say bullet points aren't our thing, and we're making like a set of instructions, and we want it to be labeled, you know, step 1, do this, step 2, do that. Well, we wouldn't use bullets, we'd use numbering. And you can see that we have a range of numbering options. The classic 1, 2, 3, the classic 1, 2, 3 with little brackets, ABCs. You've got your Roman numerals, quite like some of these. I'm going to go in Roman numerals, so we've got, as you can see there, Roman numerals. But this isn't working for me, this list. And that's because of avocado on toast with butter, without butter, and with Marmite. This is saying that with butter is one of my favourite foods, but it's not. I like avocado on toast with and without butter, and also with Marmite. So this sort of needs to be a little sub point down here, which just isn't happening right now. So if that's the case, I need to go into multi-level bulleting. And multi-level bulleting means that you can have sub-bullets. So you have the main bullet, the 1, and then the sub-bullet, the A, that would be my with butter and without butter. So let's give that a shot. Oh, it's still there. Alright, maybe we need to actually go and tell it that this is a new butter. Not a new butter. A sub-tab. There we go. All I had to do was go in front and press tab. And it's created my multi-level bulleting. Bullet points and numbering. Fantastic. So, in your educational journey, you may have come across tabs before. You may have put your cursor next to a word, hit tab, and it moved slightly to the right. That's pretty handy. That's cool. It's really good for making sure that you've got good alignment in your text. But we can do better, okay? We can do more with tabs. What we can do is set up set tabs that are left aligned, right aligned, or centered, okay? So a tab doesn't automatically have to just act like this. It can do so much more. Okay? So what we can do is we can actually set up a left tab to go a different amount of distance. And how you do that is really easy. Near the top of your document, just under all of the options and tabs, you've got your ruler here. Okay? And to set up a tab, what you do is you click on it. And this menu is where you can set up your tabs, okay? So you can say, I want my tab left aligned, and I want it to stop at, let's say, 4.5 centimeters. So I'm going to go in and type 4.5 and somehow manage to do that without getting my hand in front of the camera. Okay? And once we've got that, we set it and we hit OK. So now that at 4.5 centimeters, we've got one of those little things, the little corner brackets on our ruler. That means that there's a tab set there. So when we hit tab on our word left, it's going to go 4.5 centimeters. And when I keep typing, the text keeps going in the direction we're used to. It keeps going off to the right. I do not want that program to make changes. Sorry about that, guys. Sometimes you're doing some important work, update comes available, you know the pain. Now, what about the other types of tabs? Surely we can do that as well. Let's try a right tab, eh? Let me just bring up the menu. Okay, so I went, double clicked on my ruler. Now I'm going to try a right aligned tab. Okay, cool. Where do I want it to stop? I want it to stop at 15.1 centimeters. Sweet. Let's give that a whirl. Here we can see our tab is set on the ruler, so we know it's going to go there. Right, so when we press tab, it goes to the right. That's quite cool. And then when we start typing, you see that the text is going the opposite way. It's going to the left. That's what a right-hand tab does. So it essentially aligns everything on where you set it on the right-hand side, and the text will go towards the center. That is really quite cool. Now let's have a look at a center tab, okay? So we'll double click on the ruler. We'll hit center. Okay, so what this is going to do is going to make sure that the tab is in the center. We can see a little center tab. You can see it looks like an upside down T, whereas the other tabs didn't look like upside down T's. They look like little corners, okay, little L's pointing in the different directions of where the text was going to point. So when we hit tab, it gets centered, and when we type, it stays in the center tab. So we've got our left tab, the text goes right. We've got our right tab, the text goes left. We've got our center tab, and it goes both directions from the center. That's how you set up left, right, and center tabs. They are quite handy if you're trying to set out your document so that it looks really nice and well ordered. Okay, you're going to be setting up each of these tabs, okay, throughout your workbook and assessment. Okay, now leader tabs are the last type of tabs that we're going to need to talk about. Right? Now leader tabs are very similar to our other tabs. I'm just going to quickly open up the tab box. We're going to tilt up so that we can see it. Before we were just talking about alignment, the left, center, and right alignment. But down here we've got leader. Okay, and this is essentially talking about what's going to be in that space that has been tabbed, okay? So what's between the edge of our margin and the text? The default is nothing. It's blank space, okay? So what we do is we set that at nothing, and you can see that there's nothing there. But let's try it with dots, okay? Let's double click on our ruler. Try it with dots. So we set it up, and again we could center it, go right aligned or left aligned. I'm just going to leave it left aligned for now, and I'm going to hit OK. And what happens? We get dots. That's awesome. Now, we've also got leader tab with lines. As you may have guessed, what that is going to do is set up a leader tab where instead of empty space or dots, there's going to be a lines. Now, I use leader tabs personally for memos. Okay, I like to have dots in between my subheadings and my information. So let's say, if I've got the word to, I like to have some dots in between the word to and the recipient's name, as well as from and my name, and then the subject and the date. I like to use leader tabs for that. There's a few other times that I use leader tabs as well, and it really just depends on how fancy I want to be. Alright team, we've been talking about image and text manipulation for a wee while now. Let's talk about, just for a change, the wild world of file management. And I'm going to scroll down to save as. And I'm going to file save as because I want to save this with a different name, okay? Instead of calling it 12885 workbook for film, I'm going to go browse, and I'm going to save it with another name. I'm going to go 12885 workbook for film with cat pictures, because that's what I've put into my document. I've put in a bunch of cat pictures. So I've given it a different name, and I'm going to hit save. Now, what's really cool about this, guys, is if I bring up my files, alright, and it will be in my documents folder, 12885 observation, I now have two files. I have the original file that I was working on, 12885 workbook for film, and I have the new one which I've just saved as another name, the one with cats. These are now two different files, okay? So I could work on one, save it, and still have the other as backup. That's really quite neat. I can also right click here, just in the documents, and I can rename the files if I want, okay? Just bring up the drop down menu and click on rename, and it brings this blue box up here. That means that I can type in whatever I want to rename my document. That's awesome. But that's not all I can do. I can go back to File, I can go back to Save As, I'll go into Browse, and what I can do is, instead of saving it as a Word document or whatever type of document that you've been saving it as normally, hit the drop down menu, and you can actually scroll and find other file types. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this as a PDF. Now PDFs are cool because they're very small file types, okay? So essentially you've got all that visual information and that's about it in your PDF, okay? So if you want someone to be able to read a document but not play around with it too much, PDF is the way to go. If you want all of that text information in a small space on your computer, PDF is the way to go. I like PDFs. PDFs are good. So then we go save. And you wait a wee while. And here we have a PDF document. That's awesome. You'll also see it in your file structure. You'll see it in your document there. That's pretty choice. Now let's say I want people to be able to read my document, but I don't want them to be able to really change it that easily. But I still want it to be in a Word file so that I can use it later on again. I can do that. This is how you do that. Okay, what you want to do is you want to bring up your folder with your files again. Okay, so here it is. You right click on the file that you want to protect, that you want to make a read-only document, and you scroll down to properties. And at the bottom of it, you're going to see a little tick box that says read-only. You click it and you hit OK. So when you go and have a look up the top of your document, you'll see that it says read-only. That's pretty handy. That's a good way of making sure that you've got a little bit of security on your document and that other people can't change the text or the information that you've got on there because it's marked as read-only until I go back and untick that read-only box. My last trick is going to be saving it as a different type of file which is compatible with the same software that I'm using. So I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm just going to scroll down and I'm going to save this as a template, okay? So a template is a document that can be used with Word or whatever software you're using, and it's still compatible with the same software. It's just a different file type, which is a template. So you can open that document up and play with it a little bit, but it's always going to be the same when you open it up until you save it with a different file name. I write a lot of letters, okay? And what I've done is I've saved like a little picture up the top of a document and saved that as a template. So every letter that I write, I use that template so that all my letters have that same little picture. It's really quite cool. Anyway, you hit save. Alright team, well that about covers all of the skills that we need to know for the upcoming workbook exercises and the assessment. So nothing in there was too difficult. A little bit of file management, playing with different file types, a little bit of text and image manipulation, but nothing too strenuous. So go, have a practice, have a bit of a play with these new skills that you've learned, and then crack into the assessment. Good luck and have fun. Presenter out.